this computer. Okay. So now we're recording. And the interpretation should be ready. So maybe Shakti Ma, if you want to help us, you could try turning on the Japanese interpretation and see if you can hear Satoko. Here's Lum. Lum join.
Yeah, okay, I'm joined now.
Welcome, Lum. Nice to see you.
Yeah, and the picture and all.
Lum, do I need to have the interpreters record also?
Okay, so you can record it and for all your translator, so maybe I will need to, I will have to translate in Vietnam to record your Vietnamese language as usual. So let me add your record and you will have to accept it.
Well, I'm recording it, and usually Zoom sends me a file, like,
Yeah,
English, Japanese, Vietnamese.
yeah.
Okay, so that's probably enough. Yeah, and I say approve. Okay, good. Okay. All right, and then maybe Satoko, you can say something and see if Shaktima can hear you. She's Hmm.
Um, Swami Pranava, do you
Yes,
hear?
yes,
Uh,
I hear you.
I, I can't hear Satoko.
You cannot hear Satoko. Huh.
No, I can't hear. I can see her moving her
Uh,
lips.
yeah, uh-huh.
I can't hear. I
Hmm.
wonder why.
Well, let me check the interpretation. Yeah, it says English, Japanese. Satoko, she's here. So it means the connection is there.
さとちゃん喋ってみて。聞こえる？さとちゃん聞こえる？聞こえる？さとちゃんが聞こえないんだよね。なんでだろ
Okay, so I think that are you sure, Shakti Ma, you selected Japanese interpretation?
う。I mean,
Down
English,
at the bottom, there's like a thing, interpretation.
聞こえますよ。日本語にすれば聞こえる。
今聞こえますね。今聞こえた。アマラさんの声聞こえ
Okay,
た。
okay, very good. All right, so we'll start then. It's 3 o'clock now. I guess we could wait just a minute and see if anybody else joins. We can say the chant then. Yeah. The Vietnamese people know to select Vietnamese. And this is Amala. Hello, Amala. Nice to see you. You're Japanese, right? You're from Amala from Japan. I remember. Okay, very good. All right, so Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Punatu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishabhai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome everybody. I'm just going to shut the door. Okay. So I just wanted to mention if there are new people, doesn't look like there's too many new people now, but there are some people without their camera on, and there's some, I know Can Lin is new, right? And some of the people I see Ho Mi and Yup Lei. So some of these people are probably new, maybe Viet Lin too. And if you are new, I just wanted to let you know that on the Facebook group there is a link, and Jesse is our new file organizer. So both Lum and Jesse have done a great job in compiling the old lessons, right? And so you can find all of those. And this call will be recorded too. So this call will be part of that, right? But I'm just going to share my screen and I'm going to show you my Google Drive. I'm going to share the whole screen so you see everything. And here we have Chrome, okay? And here I have my Google Drive, okay? So I have a folder called Jyotish Intro Course. And this is something that was set up just last week by Jesse. And so it has this nice folder called Materials, and we'll be adding more and more materials to this folder. And you can see what's in this. You see we have like summaries of the planets and signs and houses, the different planets individually, Sun, Moon, Mars, and so on. So there's a lot of information, PowerPoints, and there's some PDF files. You can take a look at those and study those, and that will help to give you a background. Okay, and then we'll get into the presentation. And this is from my teacher. And just to mention, my teacher is Komila Sutton. She's a famous Vedic astrologer. And of course, she has a website and she has courses. But part of the problem is the translation to Vietnamese and also Japanese. So I'm trying to help with that. And that's why I'm doing these classes. And Komila has been kind enough to give me her PowerPoints. And she said, go ahead and teach everything. And I will send you my PowerPoints so that you can use these. And we've taken Comila's PowerPoints and we have lots of classes. We have, I don't know how many classes, but just for one year, we have 36 90-minute classes. Okay, and so we have the material for that here. And it was translated with the help of some other people. So today we're looking at Lagna. And Lagna means the ascendant. Okay, so we'll get into what that means. And please, if you have any problem, let us know, raise your hand or send a chat. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat, but maybe Lum can help me to check the chat and make sure that everything's okay. And I'll go to full screen mode here. All right, so we say Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Ganesha, Ganapati, is the god of astrology. He's one of the main gods of astrology. Okay. So now, the first thing we look at, this is a chart, and I'm just showing you as an example. This is Lord Sri Rama. And the reason I'm showing you this chart is just to show you the South Indian format. Okay, so most of you know already. But in the South Indian format, you have the different signs of the zodiac. And so this one here is Aries. And then the next one is Taurus. The next one is Gemini. Okay, and so they go around like that. In other words, if you stood out at night and you looked at the path that the sun makes during the day, that's called the ecliptic, then you would see these signs. You would see the star constellations of Aries, and then 2 hours later, Taurus would rise, and then 2 hours later, Gemini would be rising. Okay? And so this is like a map where you have the Earth in the middle spinning clockwise, and it tells you when you were born where all the planets are, and it also tells you the exact degree of the ascendant. Okay, so the ascendant is the point on the eastern horizon the moment you're born. Okay, I might have to close the window. Sorry, it's Friday afternoon in Dalat and they're playing music. Sorry about that. That's better. So now this is showing the same thing, Sri Lord Rama, and it shows a little more clearly. But here you see number one is the first sign, which is Aries, and then second sign is Taurus, and so on. And so that's the South Indian chart. And if, like I say, if you're a beginner, you need more background because we're not talking on beginner level here. We're talking with people who've been studying for a while. So I will help you to catch up. I will help you to get some background, but you can study the materials that I pointed out at the beginning. Okay, so Lagna means touching, connected with, an auspicious moment. Auspicious means it's very productive, it's very beneficial. It is the point of contact where the eastern horizon and the ecliptic, the path of the sun, meet. So the moment you're born, you look to the east and you see a certain star constellation. Okay, so there's 12 of these, and you see one of them, but you don't see the whole thing because only part of it has risen. Okay, so there's a certain degree of the ascendant at the time you're born. Okay, so the lagna is the meeting of two energies, in this case, the soul and its connection to earth. So lagna is the key to the Vedic chart. And see, in Komila's course, she presents the planets, signs, and the houses, and then she goes back, like we're doing now. This is the 14th lesson. She goes back to the ascendant and does more detail, the lagna. So lagna is referred to as the ascendant or rising sign. Okay, it is the sign rising on the eastern horizon at the time of birth. And each sign rises for about 2 hours during a day. But of course, in extreme northern or southern latitudes, some signs can rise longer than others, right? So that means that 2 hours a day would be if you're like in Vietnam here, you're kind of near the equator, you're near the center of the earth. But if you're up on the top of the earth or the bottom of the earth, the situation is slightly different because of the angle of the earth. And lagna represents the physical aspect of this life. Okay, so the key word there is physical. It means like it represents your physical body. They say that if you have a certain lagna, then you have a certain physical constitution. So it means you look a certain way. So the lagna at birth decides which planets are positive and which are negative for each ascendant. Okay, so that's a kind of a difficult thing to understand, right? Why is that? Okay, that's a good question. And so we'll have some examples. I'll give some examples of that. Positive planets give energies that are easy to use, while the negative planets create energies that are challenging and not natural to us. We must work on them. And so this is what's fascinating about Vedic astrology. It gives us an opportunity to think about ourselves and about others. And it's an exercise in questioning. So you're questioning, do I have these qualities? I mean, am I talented musically? Or am I very good at communication? That kind of thing. And if you have a weak planet that represents those things, then you can strengthen your ability to do these things by focusing on that planet. So we must work on them. Okay, and so the lagna degree is the exact time, date, and place of birth. Okay, so that's why you need an exact time, because in 2 hours the Earth turns 30 degrees. So to get the right degree, you need pretty much the exact time. So this decides what the lagna will be. So the lagna includes the degree. Like, for example, my lagna is 16 degrees Taurus. Okay, it's not just Taurus, but it's 16 degrees of Taurus, about in the middle of Taurus. Okay, and the exact degree influences the nakshatra and varga lagnas. Now, I'm sorry, these are words that you haven't seen yet, maybe. even the more advanced students. Nakshatra means the 27 homes of the moon. So when you're born, if you look in the sky, you would also see a constellation, which is one of the nakshatras. Okay? And Varga Lagna, this is really interesting. Varga charts. Varga means divisional or a division. And so not only are there 12 signs, but they divide those 12 signs into pieces. Sometimes they divide one sign into 9 pieces. That's called Navamsha. And that's a very important chart. So we'll look a little bit today at that, but this is really for future classes. Okay, and then there's transit. So the greatest experience of the transit is when it hits the exact degree of your lagna. Okay, right? So a transit means you look at the chart of now. And if I have time, I'll show you with my software, what the sky looks like right now in Dalat, Vietnam. Okay. But the point is, when a planet crosses over that exact degree, that place where the lugna was when you were born, then you have a very strong experience of that planet. Okay, so is everybody okay so far? Any questions or anything? Okay, we'll look at some charts soon, but I'm just seeing who's on the call here. Oh, I see a lot more people have joined. Wonderful. Welcome, everybody. And if you don't have your camera on, it's okay. I'm just kind of checking to see who's here. And if you want your chart, talked about, then maybe it's better to turn on your camera so I see you're actually here. So if it's convenient, go ahead and do that. Okay, now this is another wonderful thing to know about. This is called Sudarshan Chakra. Okay, and so it means there's actually 3 types of lagna: Rashi, Chandra, and Surya. So there's a lot of Sanskrit words here. Rashi means the sign. So that would mean like Aries, Taurus, Gemini. So that's called Rashi in Sanskrit. Chandra means the moon. So we can look at the moon as if it's the ascendant. Okay, but like I say, this is kind of for advanced people. So if you're not comfortable with that, don't worry about it. You'll get comfortable. It's like speaking a language. You have to practice quite a bit. Okay, so and then Surya is the sun. So it means you can also look at the sun as if it's the ascendant, and you can change the chart around so that you have different ascendants in the same chart. Okay, so Sudarshan Chakra is the wheel of time where the natal charts are studied from the lagna, the basic lagna called ascendant, the Chandra lagna, moon as ascendant, Surya lagna, sun as ascendant. Okay, so here's an example. This is Prince Harry. And since most of you have been studying with me and you've been studying the South Indian chart, I'm going to stick with the one on the chart on the right side. Okay, so if we look at the ascendant of Prince Harry, we see that his ascendant is in the sign Sagittarius. And of course, the way I know that is I just know it's the 9th sign. So if you count Aries, number 1, you count around the chart, number 9 is Sagittarius. So this little line here on the upper left corner of the square means that that is the ascendant. So there's just two different ways of writing the ascendant. And the ascendant is 17 degrees. So that means that Sagittarius had risen more than halfway when Prince Harry was born. And here's Jupiter. So this is very interesting because the planet that rules Sagittarius is Jupiter. And so the ruling planet is in the same sign as the ascendant. That's very unusual because Jupiter could be in any of the 12 signs because it moves around. It goes around the sun, and as it goes around the sun, it seems to move from one sign to the next. So this means that Prince Harry has a very definite quality of having the ruling planet in his first house. They say that this gives one an easy life. Things seem to go more smoothly for a person like this. Okay, and then Jupiter has a characteristic, and also the sign Sagittarius has a characteristic. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It's the biggest planet. It's known as a gas giant. Okay, it's made out of gas, and it's a huge planet, the biggest planet. So it represents expansion, and it also represents expansion of our consciousness. So Jupiter is like the spiritual teacher, the guru, and so Prince Harry would have a connection with this expansion of consciousness. And also the sign Sagittarius, it's the 9th sign. So it's where the soul has a very beautiful experience of knowing that this material life is not all there is. And in fact, this material life, if you really consider it, is not worth our attention because it's impermanent. And so a person born in Sagittarius is a soul that has come to this life to work on her or his spiritual path. So that person is determined to go forward spiritually. Okay, whether they're aware of it or not is, up to the individual, but that's the destiny of this life, or that's the inclination of this life. Okay, so another way to look at the chart, right, is to make the sun the ascendant. So I'm going to grab the writing tool. I don't have a pen yet, but I'm working on that. Someday I'll get a pen. For now, I use a mouse. Okay, and so the sun is here, right? And the sun is at 29 degrees, okay, of Leo. So now if we make Leo the ascendant, because the sun is there, we can consider that like the ascendant for a moment. Then we would look and see the sun is in Leo. So that means the ruling planet is in the ascendant. So that means probably Prince Harry has a strong sun as well. Sun is the sense of self. Sun is confidence. Sun is a regular schedule. He comes, he comes up at the same time every morning. I mean, there's a shift as the year goes on, but the sun is very regular. Yeah, we say that, right? And the sun shines equally on all people. And so as I understand, Prince Harry is like a prince, he's part of a royal family. So he's kind of in a position of power. So the sun represents authority, government, that kind of thing. So he has a strong sun. And then you look at the other planets. So you could say from here, he has Jupiter in the 5th house. Even though Jupiter is really in the ascendant, which is the 1st house. And I didn't talk about the houses yet, so I'm sorry about that. I kind of skipped that. But most of you know that the ascendant is the 1st house. And then, here would be like the 2nd house. This is house number 2, and then house number 3, right? Like that. Okay, so they don't have the numbers here, but this is the way the houses would go. Okay, I can't really write with the mouse, so I won't try to write. Here. Okay, but anyway, so this is normally the 1st house. But from the point of view of the sun, Jupiter is in the 5th house. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the 5th house is creativity. The 5th house is children. And like I say, Jupiter is the guru. So there's some connection with creativity there and this idea of spiritual life because of Jupiter. And we can also see where the moon is. So the moon is in Aries, but if we say that's house number 1, right? Then what do we have? We see certain planets and other signs. And this is actually very interesting because you see then the sun would be in the 5th house, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to me, when I just saw this before the call, I was on a call with Lee, who's our new Vietnamese interpreter. And we were looking at this chart and I said, wow, he's got so much emphasis of the 5th house. He must be a creative person because it's creativity and children is the 5th house. So he's got, as the moon ascendant, he would have his sun, like his true self and his self-confidence in the house of creativity. Okay, so there's a lot to see with all this. Do any questions so far? And I don't know if it's helpful, but sometimes I just draw the earth here. So this is the earth, and it's rotating like this. It's going in this direction. Okay? And so when it turns around, you see different things. And so when Prince Harry was born, if you stood on the earth, exact position where he was born, which is like right there, and you looked at the eastern horizon, you would see 17 degrees of the constellation Sagittarius. Okay, so that's how you know the ascendant. But it turns out, this is kind of interesting, see? This line goes the other direction too, right? Oh, I'm sorry. It would actually go through, it would kind of go more like this, okay? It would go up through, Gemini, okay? But it doesn't matter for what I'm talking about. When you see only this, it means that the only visible planets in the sky, the moment that Prince Harry was born, would be the ones below the horizon, or yeah, above the horizon, okay? So that would be like Mars, K2, Saturn, all these planets. So most of Prince Harry's planets are above the horizon when he was born. That means they're visible because the Earth had already turned to Sagittarius. And if you're a geek like me with planets and you like to look at the sky at night, if you're that kind of geek, as they say, or a nerd, then you know that the lower number signs rise first. So of course, if you see, Sagittarius rising, it means that Capricorn has not risen yet, but the one before it, Scorpio, has risen. Okay, so that means that all these planets, most of Prince Harry's planets are visible. The only planet that's not visible is the moon. So it means his moon is there to help him work out the past karma, because that's the not visible side. But all these other planets are there so he can create future karma. Okay, so he's got a lot of action to do in this life. So hopefully he's doing it wisely. Because when you create bad karma, you suffer. You have to come back and suffer. But hopefully he's creating good karma. So any questions? Is that okay? Okay, good. So I'm going to I guess I have to stop this share because my screen is kind of jammed up here. Okay, it happens on Zoom all the time. Okay, so I'm just looking and seeing everybody. No, Andrea join us. Thank you, Andrea. Nice to see you. I did your chart. Okay, it's here, but haven't seen it yet. Okay, so let's just keep sharing because I just want to keep going with this. So come back to the presentation. I should be able to move. This gets this way sometimes. So I have to just stop it. I have to be patient, take a breath, relax. Okay, I am moving forward here. Okay, all right. So now I can go back to the share. Okay, sorry, I've totally lost the cursor. I can't find. Oh, I know what's wrong. Okay. I'm moving my mouse, but I don't see the cursor. I'm sorry. I have to get a paper underneath the mouse so that it works properly. Okay, hold on. Where is the cursor? I've totally lost the cursor. Okay, this has never happened before. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find the cursor. Okay, I'll use a trackpad. Can I do that? This is a touch screen. Maybe I can touch it. Okay, I should be able to escape. Okay, now I found the cursor. Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to go back to the call. Okay, and I'm going to share. Okay, we'll just keep it small because when I go to full screen, sometimes it does that. Okay, so, oh, it's still not moving. Okay, okay. No, but I know how to do it because I've got the other screen over here. Yeah, that works. Okay, so here we go. So this format of chart is called North Indian. So what it shows is, if in case you're interested, my teacher Comila uses the North Indian. So in her classes, you kind of have to follow her cursor by looking at the North Indian, but she presents both. And you see, this is putting moon in the Lagna. The Lagna in the North Indian is always in this particular square. Okay? And then the houses, the signs go like this would be the first house, second house, third house, fourth house, like that. And that's the way they go around. So we'll get back to that later if that's okay. And this is putting the sun in the Lagna. So you're just putting the sun there. Okay, now later we will study yeah? Hello? Is everything okay? I'll come back to the call. Any question or everything okay? There's some chat I see. I don't know if there's any chat. Okay, somebody has to go. Okay, so yeah, we have to end it in half an hour. Okay. Uh, Okay, so somebody said, how can we know, there's a question here, if it's the exact degree? Oh, well, yeah, that's easy. The software tells you the Lugna degree, right? So let me just see if I have the PowerPoint set right. There it is. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. Oh, it's not sharing. Hmm. Okay, so there's some problem with the share. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share just the PowerPoint. Okay, that should work. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so there was a question, right? Somebody asked a question. The exact degree. How do you know it's the exact degree? Yeah? So we go back to a chart. It shows you. See, ascendant is 17 degrees, 43 minutes. Is that okay? Okay, so I'll go on. Okay, so we can study later. The Dasha Lord is the Lagna. We'll talk about what that means later. Atmakaraka can be the Lagna. Karak, what is that? Yeah, Karakamsha Lagna. Okay, that's the Karaka is the Lagna. And something called a Ruda Lagna. Okay, so there's many different Lagnas that we can use. In other words, you can look at the chart pretty much from many different signs. Okay, so I think that's the end of, is that the end of everything? It's the end of everything here. Okay, so let's look at some charts now. So we'll go here. Okay, we have Jesse's chart. So Jesse, it's okay if I use your chart?
Yes, mommy.
Okay, good. I'm going to make the view of, how do I make the view small? I'm trying to make the view small. I don't get this. Oh, there you are. Okay, so I'm just seeing Jesse now. That's good. And I'm seeing the chart. So can everybody see the chart?
Hi teacher, currently we see a PowerPoint only. So maybe you share screen and it go to your PowerPoint. Yeah. Okay.
Right,
So
right. Thank you, Lum. That's good. Okay. So can I just share? I like to share the whole screen, just like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Right?
So
Okay.
okay, I see. Yeah, now I can see your chart. Now. Thank you.
Okay, good. So let's look at again the lugna. So you see ascendant here, right? And see, it's only 1 degree 19 minutes. So that means the moment that Jesse was born, and it was like 9:25 a.m., right? You can see up here, it says the time, 9:25 a.m. on 28th October 1993. If you were in, let's say, Ho Chi Minh City, and you looked in at the eastern horizon, you would see only 1 degree of Sagittarius. That means Sagittarius was just starting to come up, okay? And so that's the exact degree of the ascendant. And the ruling planet of Sagittarius. Oh, and I didn't tell you what Sagittarius means. Oh, I did tell you, right? Sagittarius is the sign where the soul knows that it must focus on its spiritual evolution. So as you go around the zodiac, each sign has like a lesson to teach us. Okay, but it doesn't mean that we're born in Aries and then the next life we go to Taurus and the next life Gemini. It doesn't work that way. We can be born in any of the signs, and the yogis say we are born many times in every sign, right? So before we really understand fully our purpose. But Sagittarius means for this life, Jesse's born in that sign of some wisdom. You have some wisdom that material life isn't all there is. And so that's maybe why she's a very enthusiastic student of yoga and, seeking something more than the material life. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is the ruling planet of the ascendant is Jupiter, right? And so then we look and see, where is Jupiter in the chart? Okay, it's not here in Sagittarius like for Prince Harry, right? But here it's in house number 11. It's in Libra. Okay, so Jupiter's here. That means that there's a connection with the 11th house, very strong connection, because Jupiter is the most important planet because it's the ruler of the ascendant. So if you don't know the rulers, I've been talking about this. If you're a beginner, you wouldn't know the rulers, but like Jupiter rules both Sagittarius and Pisces. Okay, and so you have to study that, and that information is in those documents that I pointed out earlier. Okay, but I'm making more documents too to make it more clearer. Okay, so 11th house is the house of gain. It's the house of personal gain. So that means in this life, Jesse came here with wisdom. It means Jupiter, right, as her ruler. And she's using that wisdom for her personal gain. But that doesn't mean just like making money. That means also like spiritual evolution, becoming healthy, becoming happy. That's personal gain as well. And notice that here, Mars and Sun are friends with Jupiter. So Jupiter is very strong because he's in a house with two other planets that are considered friends. And we talked about this before, so you might not know about friends and enemies and that kind of thing. But I would say Jupiter is very happy. It's like if you're in a house and you're alone, you might be very happy because you have the whole house to yourself. That's not the case here. Jupiter's sharing with 3 roommates. So he's got Mars, Mercury, and Sun. But he really likes the Sun because the Sun is like the king, but also like the government, the authority. But it also means like the pure soul. And it represents our true self, and it represents energy and prana. So Jupiter, the guru, likes to be with the sun. And he also likes Mars because Mars is the warrior. Mars has courage, and Jupiter knows you need courage on the spiritual path. You need courage to get wisdom. So these are all friends here. Mercury is intellect. Okay, so this is kind of an interesting combination. The 11th house has many shades of meaning, right? It has the true self sun, it has the guru Jupiter, it has the warrior Mars, and it has the intellect. So she can use all these forces for personal gain. Okay, so it's very interesting the position of the ascendant ruler Jupiter in the 11th house. Okay, I know I'm repeating a lot. I hope it's okay. But I know there are new people, so I'm trying to help the new people to kind of understand a little more. Okay, so then we can also look at the sun as the ascendant. What if the sun were the first house, the ascendant? Then where would the ruler be? The ruler of Libra is Venus. Venus is in the 12th house. Okay, so sun is ascendant means that your ruler is in the 12th house, which represents renunciation and loss, but it can be also a positive thing. And Venus is the planet of sensual pleasure, but it can also mean the planet of like appreciating beauty. Okay, so there's that element in Jesse's personality as well. And before I go on, I point out over here on the other side, we have doshas, okay? And I might even try to draw a little bit more. I hope it's okay with you guys. But see, we have doshas here, right? And so these doshas are the time periods. So she was born in the Saturn time. And then at 3 years old, she went to the Mercury time. It's always 17 years of Mercury and then, 7 years of Ketu, 20 years of Venus and so on like that. But now she's in the Venus moon time. Okay, so Venus, but also there's some influence of moon as well. Moon is like a sub-period of Venus here, right? Or it's a sub-period, okay? So Venus is an important planet. And Venus is in the 12th house of loss and renunciation. It means yoga. It means giving up the material pursuits. And you appreciate the beauty of the spiritual life because Venus appreciates beauty. Okay, and then if we look at the moon ascendant, right? The moon is in the 4th house, right? So that's the house of home life and mother, that kind of thing. And moon is the planet of home life, emotion, mother, that kind of thing. So that's a very good match. So she has a very good moon. She has very stable emotions, that kind of thing. Probably has a good relationship with mother. Okay. And when we look at moon as ascendant, then we see that the ruler, Jupiter of Pisces, this sign here, I hope you can see this thing with the pen tool. I don't know if you see that. I guess you see it, right? Here, I'll move it. So, see, moon is here, right? Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. Okay, and so then that would mean that Jupiter is in the 8th house because you go from here to there, it's 7 houses, and then 8 to there. So Jupiter is in the 8th house of transformation. So she has a connection also with transformation. Okay, so any comments on that? Jesse, you want to say anything? Or
It's all good. Thank you. Please go on.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so now I know how to erase. There's an erase tool here. Somebody help me and tell me, how do you erase? You go to the draw? How do you get the eraser? There's like, it's a clear. Clear all drawings. It does it. Okay, good. So that's Jesse. Now I want to do some other charts. I won't have time to do everybody, but I'll do as many as I can. Okay. Let's do some people that we haven't seen. I'm going to try to make the call big so I can see everybody. Okay. So who else is on the call? I'm trying to get the view, but it's not going to view because I've got the pen tool. Oh, how do you turn off the pen tool? You have to go to anybody know how to turn? Oh, maybe that did it. Okay, here it is. So view, gallery view. Okay, So I see everybody. How about I want to do Andrea. Okay, can I do your chart? Okay, so let's look at that. I have to go back to share, right? Okay. So I put Andrea's chart in here. Okay. All right. And then we see Andrea is a Cancer ascendant. Okay. And I was talking with Lee, and we talked about the difference between like the tropical zodiac, the Western zodiac, and the Vedic zodiac. So if you did a Western zodiac, you might be a Leo ascendant, but you're in the Vedic system, you're a Cancer ascendant. So I won't go into the theory of that right now. It takes too much time. But the Vedic system is 24 degrees back. Okay, so you are a Cancer ascendant. And notice this, Cancer is the sign of what? Well, it's a water sign. It's ruled by the moon. It's a sign of home life, mother, relationship with mother. It's the sign of home, property, education. So there might be emphasis, some emphasis in those areas for Andrea because her ascendant is there. And it's also with the moon, and the moon is the ruler of Cancer. So that's a significant thing. It means the moon is very strong. And like I said, there are divisional charts, and Navamsha means 9 divisions. So if you divide up Cancer into 9 divisions, each one of those divisions has a zodiac sign. It turns out, if you look down here, the moon is in Cancer in Navamsha. That means it's very strong. That's why it's bold. See, the other planets are not bold, except Mercury is also the same. So Mercury is also very strong. So she has a very strong mind. See, because moon is emotion, but it's the total mind as well. And Mercury is the intellect portion of the mind. So Mercury is like a subset of the total mind, but the moon actually likes Mercury because the moon the mind uses the intellect as part of its working. Mercury does not like the moon because he feels that the moon is emotional and using some intuition that he doesn't understand. So Mercury really doesn't like moon, but moon likes Mercury. Okay, so both of those are very strong for Andrea. That means she has both strong, good emotional stability and also a good thinking mind, like intellect. All right, so that's the ascendant. All right. And then if you look at the time periods, like the dashas over here, she was born in the Saturn time. Saturn is a difficult planet. It puts you through a lot of limitation. And then she came to Mercury. So maybe when she was 20, there was a change. Usually there's a big change when the planet period changes. So maybe she experienced more of the third house because you see Mercury's in the third house, right? The house of action. You take kind of control of your life. You want to do things. You want to maybe achieve something, right? So maybe she got passionate about something at that point, and especially using her intellect because it's Mercury. Okay, and it's the sign of Virgo. Virgo is the sign of, like being sure that material achievements is worthwhile. So Virgo is the virgin, it means a young girl, and she's growing up and she's discovering that things are not the way she thought they were. So she's kind of getting this idea that, oh, maybe life's not quite that way, right? But she's still stuck in this idea of material life, okay? So you have a strong connection with being practical. Virgo is very practical. It's an earth sign. Earth means you're very grounded, okay? So this is kind of interesting. And then if you look at the time periods, like I say, then you went to K2 and then now you're in Mercury, sorry. You're in Mercury, Venus. Okay. So Venus is in the 4th house here. and it's also a strong planet because it rules Libra. Okay, and so I don't want to go into too much detail, but that's just a little bit about your chart. And if we looked at the sun as ascendant, then we could see that certain planets are in good positions. Like, I bet if the sun is ascendant, that's the ninth house. I think so, right? 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. Okay, so if the sun is the ascendant, then the Jupiter's in the ninth house. And so ninth house is the most auspicious house, which represents spiritual learning. And Jupiter is the guru. And he's with Saturn, which gives a lot of discipline. So you see, when you were growing up, you were in the Saturn time, and that might have been a good time of discipline as well, but also kind of expansion with Jupiter and some spiritual learning that was going on. Okay, so any comments, Andrea? Mhm. Okay. All right. So I want to continue with some of the people who have not been here before. How about, let's see, our translator, Lee, would you like me to do your chart? Are you ready? Yeah. Okay, let's see Lee's chart. Okay. Okay, so Lee is also a Cancer ascendant, right? So all those things I said about Andrea is also true for Lee in terms of the ascendant, Lagna. And eh, Cancer is ruled by the moon. And so we see the moon in the second house, right? And so the second house is very interesting. It's the house of unearned wealth. It's the house of getting things that in this life you didn't earn, but you earned them before in a past life. So it's like a house of good karma, something that's coming to you from past actions. And the moon is the ruling planet. So it means you have a very, the ruling planet of the ascendant, right? So the ruling planet of the ascendant is the most important planet. So the moon is very important. And, Cancer, like I said, is kind of like education, property, vehicles, kind of a practical sign, but it's also a water sign. That means awareness of emotion. It's also an action sign. I didn't really talk about that before, so that's kind of a new thing to bring in here. But it means you're a fairly active person, especially with respect to your mind, because it's ruled by the moon. And I get the impression that she's got, kind of a good career and kind of, a good mind and that kind of thing, good total mind. And so this is something that's in the second house. It means that this mind of yours that's stable emotionally and able to deal with many different situations is, given to you from the past. It's like a gift that you've been given. It's also, the second house is family relationships and like speech, eyesight. So you have a lot of good qualities that are related to second house. But it also means the moon is emotion. So like when you speak with emotion. And I kind of noticed that you have a lot of face. I just met Lee, online here a few minutes ago, but I've seen her many times at the yoga center. And I said, oh yeah, she has a lot of facial expressions, she's very expressive. So that's kind of like the speech and the emotion of the moon, speech of the second house and emotion of the moon. All right. And then as far as the sun, right? The sun is in the sixth house, right? And so that sixth house is the house of enemies and obstacles, but it also means like our inner obstacles. And so one of the struggles of this life might be that yourself, the sun, who you picture you are, is struggling with some inner obstacles. Okay, and so it's in Sagittarius and it's with Mercury. And if we looked at the chart, from the other perspective, like moon, we would see that you have some things, like then Saturn would be in the sixth house. If the ascendant were the moon, you'd have Saturn very strong because he rules Capricorn. And so you might say you have a good degree of discipline, and you can use Saturn to overcome these obstacles of the sixth house. The time periods here, Venus, Sun, Moon. So you're now in the Rahu period. Okay, so Rahu is very hard to explain, but he's the desires from past lives, things that you didn't accomplish. And he's in the fifth house of creativity. So maybe, like you want to be creative, and maybe you're using your creativity to explore some things that you don't really know why you're exploring them. Like maybe you want to play a musical instrument or something, or you want to do artwork or something like that. But it's Rahu because you're in the period of Rahu now. So that would be a strong influence. And you're in Rahu Jupiter. So that means, there's a Jupiter influence, which again is third house. That's a house of action and, taking initiative. Okay. Okay, so any comment about that or anything? Okay, good. And some of the people, they didn't put their camera on, so maybe I'll just keep doing charts so the people have camera on. Okay, how about Yukimi Ito? May I do your chart? Okay, is this okay? Is everybody okay with this? Everybody understand, or is it not?
Teacher, there's one question in the chat box.
Yeah, okay. Let's check the chat box. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Premadasi. Okay. So when do we need to consider sun and moon as ascendant? Yeah, when we do so, aside from the orders of the house that will be changed, is there anything else affects our interpretation? Okay. So yeah, that's a great question. First, you consider the basic lagna. Okay, and then you get very skilled at doing that. Right? So like I said, this is not for beginners. This is kind of an advanced topic. But when you look at a chart, sometimes you get a feeling like you don't see anything very interesting or significant. Okay? And of course, that can never be because there's always something. There's always something really important in the chart. And so if you look at the chart from the sun lagna and the moon lagna, those are the first things to consider as like a secondary interpretation of the chart. Okay? And like I say, part of the value of astrology is just that mental effort it takes to consider these areas, right? You consider. Yeah, so you would just do this as a secondary thing after you've already done the regular lagna. Okay, and like we've been talking about for the last 13 classes, we've been talking about the basic lagna, right? Okay, and then when we do so, aside from the order of the houses that will be changed, is there anything else that affects our interpretation? Not really. That's basically it. It's just, of course, the signs will be different. So, the signs in relation to the houses will be different, right? But with Comilla, the main thing she looks at is the planets, right? Any real significant planet, right? You could consider to be important. Okay, so a planet that's like very strong, you look at it from the basic lagna, it's in the fifth house. Okay, so you say, oh, I must be creative, right? But I don't do anything that's creative. Oh, you look at it from the sun lagna, it's in the seventh house, relationships. Maybe that's why relationships are also very important to me. And I'm like emphasizing that. So is that okay? So it's like a planet that's really important. You can consider it.
Yeah, thank you, Swamiji.
Okay, sure. Any other questions? I wanted to do Yukimi's chart if I can. I only have a few seconds because we have to close. So let's look at Yukimi. Okay, Yukimi, this is your chart. And you have the Ascendant in Gemini. All right, so first, Gemini is the sign, the third sign. It's where the soul feels a need to connect with others. So you have this basic, I think we've already talked about with Yukimi about this. You have this basic idea that you want to connect, particularly like with a significant partner in life, but also, having relationships with others, communication is important. And then your Mercury, though the ruler of Gemini, is in the sixth house. And like I say, that's the house of enemies, obstacles, right? But it's also the house of health and healing. So if you use Mercury, Mercury is the planet of communication, intellect, like I've been saying, right? Some of the other people today had a strong Mercury, have a strong Mercury. So if you use Mercury to communicate, right, and to particularly help others to heal, then you can get over some of the obstacles in life. And also, see, Mercury is with the moon. And remember what I said about the moon and Mercury, they have a little kind of a conflicting relationship. So the intellect is not always happy to be with the emotions. It means Mercury is not always happy to be with the emotional moon. Okay. So it means developing your emotional, connection is important. Okay. So that's one thing. And then looking at the moon as an ascendant, then it would mean you have like Saturn in the fourth house. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And so that would be strong Saturn in Aquarius, the house that it rules. And so you have good discipline and discipline for the fourth house, which is like your home life. And that's that's like the foundation of our life is the fourth house. It's the foundation from which you can have power, right? And if you look over at in the Rashi chart, your 10th house, the house of career, has Mars. So you see, you look from the fourth house to the 10th house, and you see something really interesting. Yeah, I'm considering, 10, 11, 12, 1. Okay, that's what it is. Yeah. So see, you have the warrior in the 10th house. It means you have the capacity to do something that is creating an effect in the world, right? If you look at the moon as ascendant. And then, sun as ascendant here would be the sun. And then, you would have like, I'm not very skilled. I can tell I have to go back to Comila and get more lessons. I'm sorry about this. But the sun, if it's the ascendant, right, it would mean Mars is in the 11th house of gain. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. See, if sun is number 1, then Leo is number 11. And so again, see, Mars is wonderful in the house of gain. It means you can really do something. Okay? What dasha are you in? You're in the oh, you're in Mars dasha too. Okay, wonderful. So I would say go after your dreams and really do it now because this is a wonderful time of your life. Venus is in the planet, in the sign that it rules, Libra. So you have an appreciation of beauty. Okay, so that's all I have time for. We have to close. I'm sorry. Any quick questions before we go and everything? Everybody okay with that? Okay, well, great. So I'm so happy that we have some new people and the older students the previous students have patience with me. And we're going to try to post new materials. Jesse's helping us to organize. Lum's also organizing. And Lum will post hopefully the video. You can see a recording if you want. So invite your friends. And that's all I have to say. Okay, I hope we can meet next week, but I'm still a little busy here in Dalat, but then I go to Japan, but I can meet you online. Okay, so I'll try to set up a meeting for next week and we'll put a message. Okay. Om, 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 Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Bolo Satguru Shivananda Maharaja Ki Jai. Bolo Shri Vishnu Devananda Maharaja Ki Jai. Hari Om Tat Sat. Okay, so thank you so much. Om Namah
Cảm ơn
Shivaya.
thầy.
Okay, bye bye.
Chào mọi người. Thank you.
Okay. Hmm.